are here as a meeting of the IESO mentor, the International Earth Science Education Organization, Earth Science International Earth Science Olympiad, that is organized by the International IGEO, International Geoscience Education Organization. So we plan to have our Olympiad last year in Russia, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have to skip this edition, we cancel. And as the situation is still complicated all over the world, and it is not so easy to understand if it will be possible to have a presential one already this year, and as far as it's possible to see, probably not, we already decided to make an online edition this year. The purpose to have an online edition is to keep all the group involved in the organization, and to keep the attention and the participation of the student at the national level. Of course, an online edition will be quite different from what we are used to participate. And we need to have an online platform and so on to organize all this part, and we need to think at this new format, new online format. So for all the logistic and the Russian colleague of the same university that was planned to host the Presential Olympiad already makes them available to host the online IESO. So there are Haltibeck from Tumen University here with us, and this will be the institution that take care of the logistic aspect of this online edition. Then we have the examination board that already do several meetings in order to think about what is possible to do in this online format. And we prepare some proposal that we present in this 3 webinar. And we will be happy to have feedback by you, suggestion and comment before to close the final online version. Because I guess that many of you during this year have grow a lot of experience in online teaching, online assessment. So maybe a good idea can come from all over the world. Today, who will present is Jean-Luc, that will present a new format for the written test based in using data, scientific data already available. So we try to use this opportunity of the online IESO also to try to introduce new educational and way to assess the student. So I pass the word to the Jean-Luc. After Jean-Luc finishes the presentation, we can have some time for question and comment. Please, Jean-Luc, thank you all of you for your participation.
Yeah. Okay, so I try to, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
so I prepare some slides. Of course, don't worry, the presentation is recorded, so you will be able to replay the presentation. We will edit the presentation online as soon as possible. And you must have received a document about this presentation. So I am just going through this document with the slides to explain what a data mining test can be. For your question and comment, use the chat room, but at the final of the presentation, you can also ask questions, of course. So free presentation in 3 days is a lot to plan IESO 2021, and we will organize the 4th session, Roberto, right? for the final discussion. So everything can be discussed and to be ready to organize this online edition. The idea is to say that the edition will be very special, and because it will be online, and we don't plan to do the 2021 edition will be not the same as the previous edition, but we believe and we think that it is the opportunity in 2021 to experiment new activities, new ideas, according of this online context. And this is why we don't think that it is interesting to propose a written test or a practical test. And instead, we will want to explore new activities. And one of these new ideas is the data mining test. You see, I have changed the slide. You see this or not? Yes? Okay?
Yes.
So
Okay.
this is the...
Okay, now it's working.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first steps. I want to go through the presentation with these 4 steps. One, to explain what can be a data mining test. The second step is to see how you can be prepared, and you can prepare your student to do this test when it will be the right moment. The third step, and the first step, it will be how to minimize the obstacles. Your microphone, please, if it's not a question. Okay. The first step, it was that there is some difficulties to organize this test online, and so how we can minimize the obstacles of this test. And the fourth step is to show you, or to do with you, an example of what can be a data mining test using seismological data, for example. Okay, so as I said before, a data mining test is a new activity, but is mainly an activity using internet and online resource. So that means that it is complex and delicate to organize. I think it can be a surprise for the mentors, because for some of the mentors it's new, it can be new, but also a test online can be always troubles with internet connection, website stability, electricity power stability. And of course, we have to propose a test at the same moment. And that means that it can be very difficult to propose at the same moment a test in the world, going through 6 a.m. in the morning for America and 11 p.m. for Australia. So that means that we have to consider that the data mining test that we propose must be conceived as an experiment. And of course, if we do this data mining test, we will have to organize an evaluation after IESO 2021 to see if this test was successful, and if we have a good a kind of test that we can propose for the next years. So let's go to describe the test. So the test basically is to propose to the student to use and to analyze online data. So that means that the student access to a web data center, student explore a case study, and resolve a research question using, of course, online data. We are lucky, in fact, because there has never been as many geoscience data accessible to the schools as there are today. There are plenty of data centers. and plenty of data center that students can use, because we have also data center made for educational purpose. So we have a good choice for the data center and the data online. So with this test, we plan to introduce IESO participants to use the data online, to use the online tools to teach or to learn more about the Earth planet. So it's a new way, it's another way to teach and to use the data to resolve the case study and the question. So the spirit behind this test also, and you have to know this, the spirit proposed by the examination board is to share our expertise and to make an impact on the mentor's family, on the way how to teach Earth science in schools. So it will be very different than a written test or a practical test. Okay, let's go further. So I'm going to try to give a general description. So the data mining test will have 2 or 3 case studies. So we propose only 2 or 3 case studies. Each case study is 1.5 hours or 2 hours duration. For each case study, student will access to a web page describing the case study to explore the data center, where to find the resource. So he will access to this, and eventually he will access to the software to use and to analyze the data, because if we speak about data, we have to speak also about the software to use the data, because depending on the format of the data, it can be Excel file, it can be seismological, it can be KMZ or Google Earth file. So you need software when you use data. Answer to question have to be found by analyzing this data. The software to analyze the data will be available on the same web page or directly on the computer, depending on the software. Because software can run directly online, and some of our software has to be installed before in the computer. So students will have to answer a multiple choice question relating to the data that they analyze. They have to provide the answer online. There will be a formula to answer to the question, and eventually they will have to upload the result of their work online. So it's just a little detail, but very important for this case, for this kind of test, because when a student, and mainly it's the big difference between a written test, classic written test, and this kind of test. Usually when the student uses the data online, he has to download the data and to overlay the data, to compare the data, to add some data with other one to resolve the question. So at the end of the work of a student on the screen, you have a lot of data, but the student has overlay. It can be a map, it can be a cross section, it can be a diagram. This is completely a production of a student. It's not a production of a data center. It is the student who has done the screen with all the data relevant to resolve the question. And it would be nice to ask to the student to upload a screenshot where we can see what the student wants to highlight, the data that he wants to highlight, to present the geological fact or to present the resolution of a question. That's the reason that we think about the MCQ answer on a formula, and also a screenshot uploaded by the student at the end of his work. This is all what we can, how we can describe the general test. Of course, as I said, how to help people to be sure that the student will be in a positive position to do this test. So we think about 3 phases. The first one is the training. So that means that we try to build a list of websites, a data center website, that we can propose for the test. And we send this list to the mentors of the national teams. Student and mentor can explore this website and, of course, beginning familiar with the website, and also to practice the software. All the web pages and all the software will be in English, of course. In the second, during the IESO event, only 2 or 3 data centers with dedicated resource will be in the test. So that means we choose a case study with 2 or 3 data centers, and we propose a new test, a new case study using the same data center that the previous list. So the students who were trained to use the website are prepared for the use of this website and the software, and so they will be able to answer to the question without any difficulties, with some difficulties, but they can use the website because they were trained before to this website. That means that we are able to produce the list of a website early. So that means maybe in March to produce this list of a data center. And after the IESO event, the student answer can be evaluated by the international jury. And of course, the mode of ranking of students is still a subject for discussion. So we'll have to discuss about the ranking and maybe the medals about this test. Third step, the difficulties. For us, we have to resolve question. The time zone, for example. It can be challenging to propose the test at the same moment for all the countries because of a different time zone. So this is one point that we have to be clear. The other one is how to prevent the interruption of electricity, the stop of the data server, or the slowdown due to the multiple simultaneous connection. So that means that it's necessary for us to think about, are all the countries obliged to have a test carried out at the same moment? This is a question. Another question is, do the mentors have access to the test a few days before to check that everything is working well with their computer system? Because there is a lot of possibilities. Are mentors expected to download a few days before software and data to compensate for possible technical problems? So that means that the test will be run only on the computer and not online. And do we plan to distribute medals for this test because it's a new way to do the test? So this is question. So nothing is resolved till now. And the fourth step, the last step now is to discover a case study. So this is a slide with 4 examples, but we can put more. That means that more ideas of resource. You can see that I wrote something about hydrological data. There is a lot of data center about this with the weather, the rainfall, and the flood. We have also IODP core data that we can use for the test. And in fact, we have and this is what I have written in red, the best way is that all of you can propose database that you know, that you use in your country, in your teaching moment, database that you can propose to make this final list before the event. So that means that it's not a closed list with these 4 websites here, but it's just example that I can show you to see more concretely by more practice way how you can do an exercise with data online. So before going through the example, I told you that you receive a document. The document says the same thing that the slides, I hope. Maybe if at this stage you have some question before going through the example, we can try to discuss about your question, or if you prefer, I can go ahead to the example. Let me know what you prefer. Yes.
Jean-Luc,
Yes.
I think you have a few questions on the
Yeah, if I have
chat.
I have one. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, just a moment. I try to come back.
See, our students come from different parts of India, and it's COVID situation plus some other viral situation also. So to get the students in one place and then make them write this exam is little difficult. I'm sure that will hold true for other countries also. So how do you speculate or envisage, or how do you plan to work on this?
I think
because
I have
we
no
cannot
more,
get all the students in one place.
Yeah. I understand your question, of course, and I anticipate the question. I have no more plan that you or other countries. Of course, there will be 2 situations. The first situation is the situation in the country is good enough to have a student in the same place at the same moment with a mentor, with a computer in the right place, and everybody make the test at the same moment. The national team make the test at the same moment. So this is one option. I hope that it will be the case for some countries in August 2021. But the other option is what you say, that means that the students are in different places in a very large country like your country. And so, of course, you have to look how each student will be able to do the exercise alone or with a teacher that you will select for this occasion. Because if you have your student alone somewhere in a special school, you have maybe to look how you are going to make an adult or people who will be in charge of the student during the test, and not leaving the student alone with his. So I think if you are in the second option, you will.
Jean-Luc, the parents will not allow the children to come and stay in one place with others. It's a pandemic situation.
Yes.
Our classes in university has also not started. We are teaching by web-based classes.
So my answer, but I have not to give only my answer, it will be the answer of everyone, but the answer is that if the students are not at the same place at the same moment, but you have to find people will be alone, but it's not, they can do the test online because we organize something online because we have a pandemic situation. So that means that you have to see how you can run the test with students alone at home
in different places.
In different places, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
sort it out. Yeah.
Of course, it's not a fantastic situation, but we have to consider this also.
Okay. We will look into this. We'll definitely look into.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you.
Let's go for question. I see. Was more question?
Jean-Luc, you have questions about language. What about language?
The language, the data center, of course, you can find data center in some languages. There is not a lot of data center who provide on the same data center the option to select different languages. Sometimes you have a data center in 2 languages, the mother language of a data center and the English language. So that means we are quite obliged to do all these tests in English, because if not, it will be difficult to find a lot of data center. So if we act the idea of we are in English, of course, the data in English is not so well. It's numeric data or diagram, or is not so difficult somewhere. Yes, of course there's the text, so you have to read the text and the explanation. I don't see how we can do another way.
Another issue is about the time. I think we could think on the possibility to have 2 different times, and half of the world will use one, and the other half of the world use the other. Yeah. Because it's very low probability for these students to meet before the test and to exchange in between them any information. So it's really hard for Australia to have the test at 11 p.m. So I think we can try for at least 2 times for the world.
So that means that you propose, or you explain, that means that there will be 2 different tests. The test will be not the same, or it will be the same.
No,
we have to think on that, but could be not the same. Could be a different order. As sometimes it happens at the school. You have the test A and the test the test B.
Yeah, it's the reason why I asked you a question. But you know, when there is a test A and B, that means that, well, Mr. the test A was more difficult than the test B, or the B was more difficult. You see, so. Well, it's just a question, but I think it's one option not to make some 2 or 3 versions of a test according to the time zone, and to be in a reasonable moment for the student. Reasonable moment for the student, that means not too early in the morning and not too late in the evening, because they are students and they are also not to make the things by night. Yeah. Marie, you have a question?
Yeah. Well, I'm just sharing the experience of previous online Olympiad of biology and informatics. And what they did is they set a separate but independent database for the exam. And the database can be in English. However, the questions can be translated, and the mentors get the questions probably only one day before the exam. And then after they did the translation, they have to send it back to the committee to be certified. And then the student can take the test online. And all the students are videotaped, and the computer screen have a capture screen to make sure that everything is just and fair. So I think if we can do that, then we can have multiple time zones for the competition. And that also solve the translation issue. So that's the experience I shared from the other Olympiad online test. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, so if I well understood, you will be in favor that the multiple choice question was known by the mentors 1 day or 2 days before the test, time to the mentors to translate the question and to validate the question, yes, and so the student has a multiple choice question in the mother language or not, depending on the choice of a national team, and but the data center is in English.
Yes.
Yeah. So that means that the test will be ready earlier than 2 days before the event. So the test can be run like this if the community is okay like this, or if we decide like this. Yes.
And a variant to this, a little bit different, could be to have a pool of questions. So every country is asked, I mean, I'm working with 100 questions per test in my online tests. And the mentors are translating these questions before, but they don't know which questions will be in the test. This is decided by the examination team. And the students get the questions from the pool on the date, and then we don't give the test away, and there's time for translation.
Yeah, this is an idea. Yes. Okay. Okay. Other question of a subject?
I think the database question is marvelous. I think that would be a very good next step to challenge the student. Yes.
Well, I don't know, depending of the teaching and the countries, but actually in a lot of countries, in a lot of schools, it's a use which become common to access to a website, to use the data online, and to make exercise with data online. And in geoscience, we have plenty of this kind of data. So maybe it's a good opportunity and time to organize this. I'm not sure that the test will be successful, but it's an experiment, as I said before, just to try if we are able to organize things like that in the best way and the best condition.
Yes, but I would suggest that it would be safer for the mentors to download the data set as a separate backup. Once, if there is a power failure or internet failure, the student still can continue the test. It's just not so online data, but a server is there ready.
Yeah.
But that presupposes that the mentors and the students are in the same place. And in Australia, it's very unlikely to be the case. Our team is likely to come from 3 separate time zones in Australia, for example, and be thousands of kilometres apart. So there are some coordination issues there.
of course, it's only mentor who can download the data. So it means that Tom said that the mentor must be with the student in the same place and organize the computer where the student will work 2 days after.
That's just not physically possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
If and as we experienced this year, we were planning to actually hold our training camp face-to-face in Canberra, and 2 weeks before we were going to do that, the states went into lockdown again, and nobody could travel. And all that would take would be another outbreak in Australia in August, which is entirely possible, and we wouldn't be able to do anything that we planned to do. We'd have to do it all online at a distance, like we actually turned out to do the summer school. So I think just relying on having the mentors in the same room with the students is not going to work.
Okay. Okay. Nobody asked question about the ranking of the medals?
I would think at this stage we're a mile away from having that conversation.
Okay. So I can go ahead with going through an example, or it's okay for you?
Yes.
Okay. I send you this. I hope everybody has received this. It's a data mining example. So you see that the idea that is not, well, is an idea of what can be the test. So we begin with a case study, and after we have the link to the data center, we have a link to the MCQ question and MCQ form to online to answer to the question. And after we have two things. We have a guideline for the student to go at the right place to find the data, and after he has to use the data to answer to the question. So I'm going to do this directly online and to show you the data center and things like that. But you can do this by yourself also, because I am in the case study here, and of course we ask to explore data about an earthquake occurred in Peru the 22 February in 2019. So I am here, and I have to open this with a software. The software is online, so that means that when you click here, you have directly the data, so the seismogram on the right here, and a virtual globe where you can see the seismological station which have recorded the earthquake. And so after we have a question, so the question asked are various. Some of these questions can be using the data or answering questions about the knowledge. So the first question in the document was, how many stations are needed to locate the epicenter? So you have four choices. So student can have to choose only 3 records are needed to locate the epicenter. And the question 2 is to locate the epicenter. So it's important to be trained with a website, because you have to know the website and to know how to do this. And in that case, when you double click on the station, you have, as you can see here, a circle. And if you use 3 stations, you see that I have a solution for the epicenter must be located here, and on this place you have the latitude and the longitude of the epicenter. And of course, in the answer sheet form, you will choose the answer C, because the answer C is the latitude -2 north and longitude -77. So this is the place of the epicenter. So the epicenter can be located only by the work of the student and by using data. Then we ask to the student to mark, to plot this point. So that means he has to go to action, to edit an object, and to put a plot, a landmark. Is going to double click here. And now you see, wow, I have a point here. My point is not, can be better. And I have also to ask for, to put the right depth. It's 362 because it's written in the seismogram. This is the landmark. This is the epicenter. So the epicenter is plotted on the map, and then we ask to the student, if I am right, I am at the question number 3 in the document. I have, we ask to calculate the speed, the accurate speed of the P waves recorded at a specific station ANWB. So that station. So that means I have to go back to display seismogram. I have to go to this station. So the station is there. Here is that one, and that one. I can display the origin time. I have to display the arrival time. So the student has a lot of indication. And if he wants to calculate the accurate speed of the P waves, he has to know the distance. The distance is there. And he has to know the time, the arrival time, and he can look at the arrival time in the cursor here. And you can see that if I go there, I can make more zoom. I am at something like 310 seconds. So then he can use something like to calculate. And if you calculate the distance divided by the time, you find the accurate speed of 8.9. So that's mean 9 kilometers per second. So he can answer to the question. It is the question C, the right question. So you have to make calculation by this. I have to come back to the website. Oops. Can you see the website now? No. Ah, I've lost my website. No. You see the website? Yes?
No, no.
Which website? We still see the seismogram, etc.
Yeah, the seismogram and the virtual globe. You see this?
Yeah.
Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, so now I have been able to calculate the P waves, arrive at ANWB, making a calculation, of course, and answering to the question. And the question 4 asks me to display the section in a cross section globe. So you can see this, because for the question 3, I have neglected the curvature of the Earth because the station is not too far. But now for the other station, I have to to consider the right path for the seismic ray. So that means that here, when I click here, I see the right length of the path of a seismic wave. And so the question 4 asks me to compare the speed of the P waves in ANWB, RPN, and CALF. So I have to compare for this station ANWB, RPN, and CALF here. I have to calculate the P waves, and I am going to see if I do the calculation that for this station, CALF here, the accurate speed of the P waves are very higher than the RPN, and these P waves are higher than ANWB. So I have to answer that the P waves propagate faster than if the station is far away. So I am always using the data online. And then if I go ahead, the question asks me about the PREM model of the Earth and the shadow zone in the concept of a PREM model. And we ask me which is the station who illustrate this. I can see that Kunz, this station here, receive by this model, PREM model, any waves. And I can see if I put the same scale on y-axis, that Kunz here has received any waves like this. So that means that Kunz is in the shadow zone. We have also a question about the L, the surface wave, L here. So once more time, I can calculate the speed, the accurate speed of the surface wave for each station. And I will see that the station, the speed is always the same, is something like 4 kilometers per second. So that means that the accurate speed of the surface waves is always the same. The surface waves propagate on the surface of the Earth. And also there is 2 good answers, because the other answer is that the L, the surface waves, the amplitude of the surface waves varies with the distance traveled. And you can see this if you use the same scale of y-axis, of course. This is the question 6. And the question 7 is to look at, so to come back to the P waves are direct or crossing the core of the Earth. And we ask question about the speed of the P waves, direct P waves, or waves that we call PKP or PKIKP. And so you can use this indication to calculate the accurate speed of the P waves crossing or not the core of the Earth, and to find that the data show that the core slows down the propagation of the waves. You can look this making the calculation. So in all the document, I give you the solution and I give you some calculation. The best things, what I want to show you before closing this example is when the student come back to the virtual globe, we ask him to display more data. More data can be more epicenter, volcano, GPS vectors, and of course, in this area, you can see that this seismic event is not alone. It is part of a dynamic and a global system. He has Galapagos here, he has South America, he has the Pacific, and the question is to choose what is this earthquake related to a hotspot, to an extension zone linked to the East Pacific Ridge, or a transform fault linked to the plate boundaries, or, and it is the right solution, the subduction zone coupled with a formation with Andean mountains. And for the final step, and this is what I call a screenshot, the student can, we can propose the student to give us a screenshot who resume the fact that we are how to place this, the context of this earthquake in this area by a cross-section. So that means action, draw a cross-section, and you can choose this section, of course, with the seismic, and then this is the final cross-section. So that means you can see the earthquake. So this earthquake is deep enough, of course, because it's completely linked with the subduction zone here. And you can see what we call a little report of his work, because to arrive at this cross-section, he has to display the data, he has to locate correctly the epicenter, and he has to make nicely the cross-section. And when he has done everything like this, he will have a good screenshot. Of course, every student will not have exactly the same screenshot because it's his own production, but the screenshot can show the major things that the student has to work with this case study, with this example. That's all for this example. I don't know if I was clear enough with this example, if you find it's difficult, not difficult, easy, but you can see when we do this example, all the difficulties, all the things interesting for a student, interesting to learn, interesting to develop the autonomy of a student, but also the difficulties, maybe depending of a student, and I don't know what you think about this, so please feel free to comment. I've seen that in the conversation there is some thought about this. So Natalie, can you resume what you asked?
Yeah, the first point about the fact that students would be evaluated on their ability to use a database. It can be really different from countries. In France, it's something that we do with students in high school, but it can be like a bias for some other countries. So I'm just wondering about that. And the second point is about the various data. If it's only geophysics or something else, this IESO syllabus is really rich. So we should maybe take into account that all the a lot of aspect has to be taken for the MCQ. And this third part is about the language. It can be hard for students to work on the website in English with the stress and all of this. So I'm just wondering about that.
Okay, it seems that people agree with you. So how can we manage things? Have you?
I don't know. I think like Tom wrote at some point that we can have some mixed MCQ, more, I don't know, why he has written it. Maybe something, I mean, not only based on data mining, but maybe data mining plus something else. Maybe something more
knowledge.
People, not knowledge. It doesn't. No. I think the student has to be to work on some different kind of material, maybe cartography or something else, to link some knowledge and answer MCQ. It just. I think some students are not really at ease with data mining, not computer, but the fact of using like not data from research, but something like that. Yeah. So I'm just wondering that. Yeah. Maybe the other mentors are not agree with that. They don't agree with that. So.
Yeah, I can understand, but as I said, it's the reason why we imagine that we have a training time before the IESO, so March to August, to train the student to the website, and some of this website will be the website proposed during the test. So I think that if the student and the mentors train on the website, they will be not so surprised when they have to use the website because they know the website. I don't know, maybe it's a way to minimize the difficulties and surprise. You see?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's sufficient or not. I don't know.
In this case, we have to be sure that all the countries can train their students in the same way.
Yeah. It has to be really straight, and we have to do exactly the same things, and that each mentor has the same involvement with the students with that to have a fair competition then.
Anna, I don't understand in the same way.
Well, maybe we can provide training materials for all the countries, and then mentors on somebody can train all the students, but in all the countries in the same way. So with the same materials to train and to practice with the website.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
No. I understand also. When you receive 3 documents. You receive the contents of the slides. You receive this example, and you receive a technical paper, which is some information, some instruction to use the software. Normally, for each data center or for each software, we will have access to a document who explain us how to use the data. I don't know, in a classroom, when students are doing this, each student has his own strategy, his own process to answer to the question. This is the element, the different element with this kind of test. So the student must show some autonomy, and he has his own strategy to find how he is going to add data to resolve the question. And what it is interesting is the last screenshot can be different from one student to another one, because they have not done the same thing to resolve the question. You see? I'm not sure that I am able to give a plan to train to the website, because the website is each website has its own way. So we have to practice the website and to see what we can do with the website and what we cannot do.
But the challenge will be how to keep the test about using seismological skills and not data mining skills. How do we?
It is only an example. It's not about.
So I think it'll be true for every every area subject and every database we decide to use. Not make it about how difficult it is to get to the little unknown, less known menus and possibilities. Use the easy to get data and see what the students can do with it in every subject, how they can understand and use and calculate, but make it simple, getting the data. Let's keep making the data actually simple, and not how well they can use the software, but what they can do with simple data. That'll be more fair, I think, and more to the point of this Olympiad.
Can I show you another example? Yes, with another website, maybe or not. Have you looked at the other website for no?
Yes, yes.
So you have a website about satellite images from ESA. So each website, maybe it's more in your direction with a satellite, because we have data, but of course we have to make question and you have to orientate the using of the data.
Yes, on that website, I think there was a tutorial once you open that website.
Yeah.
I think so. Like Susan had suggested, that's how we can make sure every student get the same training, because that's the website tutorial. And then also if we can simplify the database, sort of modify the database in a controlled environment, then that will make the student go to the right direction, sort of speaking. Yes.
Marie, it's Marie, yes? Yeah?
Yes.
The balance is little difficult, because in the written test, usually in a written test, what do? We produce a document. In this document, we put all the data necessary to resolve the question.
Yes.
And the student has nothing to select. He has just to look at the data, read the data, and normally he don't need anything else. Everything must be in the document. Yeah. In that case, it's not exactly the same. There is data. There are more data than necessary, and the student has to develop a strategy to download the data relevant from the subject. So it's a little different. And so if we make a database adapted too close to the question, we make a written test.
I see what you mean.
The reason why I am Tom, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's difficult to look the room chat. The chat room.
Yes. My question would be, would it be possible to do some data mining, which I think is a brilliant idea, and I'd like to move in this direction. But I recognize there's huge digital divide between students who have access to high-speed computers and better internet connectivity and those that don't. And we can attempt to address that. But for the first year, especially since we're doing a virtual program, we could also work out some practical exam questions that could work in a virtual environment. We could take students on a virtual field trip and take them out and have images of rock outcrops, have them do some types of virtual mineral identification, potentially measure virtual strike and dip, do a variety of virtual tasks, as well as do data mining. And then we could look at a correlation between their data mining scores and their more traditional practical exam type results.
So if I well understood, it is the idea of proposing virtual tour, virtual visit with and so the student has not only the picture, but he has to go somewhere to see outcrop, something like that. Yes, and you have already data center already done, or we have to produce this?
I think we could produce it fairly easily. I know our colleagues in Australia have some virtual field trips.
Yeah.
Places you can go online and explore. You know, you can pick up rocks, you can pick up minerals, you can rotate them through 3 dimensions. You can look at fossils, you can zoom in. So I think it'd be fairly easy to take some existing sites and modify them for our purposes in terms of questions.
Yeah, for me it's perfect if the student has some freedom to go outcrop A or B or C to look at and to choose which is the more appropriate place to look at to resolve the question, and not to give him directly the right outcrop. You see?
May I?
Open University
Yeah,
from
Susanna?
UK.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but I have some problem. Maybe I am confused because this is at the place. It is to substitute a practical test. Is that correct? Because what I've lost at the beginning is the role that this kind of test we'll have in the final Olympiad. So it is a practical test.
No, examination board decided not to propose a written and not written test and not practical test, and to substitute to another way this what we call the data.
One of the solutions, even if I agree with the idea of have a sort of virtual tour that we can have. We have a lot of them in Italy, so just looking for an outcrop or something similar and just analyze, I mean, geological characteristic of an outcrop, it is possible. About this software, I am a bit, I'm not sure we can manage with a student, because we have not really 6 months, as you say before, because we have our national test about May, June, so we have just 1 month to work with the student. It's not enough to obtain a successful competence skill on that with the student. Anyway, we could eventually evaluate for a simple solution, or it is one of the whole test. So it is what is worrying for me, it is in English, is what Nathalie said before, because I'm not sure that our students are competent as skill in seismic, tectonic, English, ICT, so altogether could be very selective for the student. So I think that we need to choose which one is the competence that we need to evaluate, not altogether, because otherwise it's very hard for the student and high level of student to obtain a positive result. It could be just one of the 4, 5, 6 text. So it's not the only one, or I mean one of those that could be selective for deciding which is the winner in the group. So that's my idea.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. Thank you. Other comment, other opinion? No?
Maybe just very briefly before I have to leave in 5 minutes or so, is there a test planned to bring in some systemic thinking so that they have to combine like the different compartments of, I don't know, geology, astronomy, hydrology, etc. Because now we are, with this type of tests, we are back to compartmental thinking, so to say.
Well, what's more time? It was an example. So nobody said that an examination board didn't say that we are going to focus on seismological data or things like that. Yeah, the question that you ask is a good one, but if we look at the data center available and the data is difficult, the idea is not to ask to a student to go to 2 or 3 data centers to resolve a question. So actually, there is not a data center where you can find on the same place data to a systemic approach. It's difficult. If you have some example, welcome to give us this. But in fact, data center are a little specific with the kind of data. So that means that you have to go to one data center, after to go to another center and to make comparison. So if we propose a student to go at 2 or 3 different places, it can be more difficult. It can be more complex for the student. So the idea is to stay on the same center with the same data and one software, not maybe software. But I can invite you to look at the other example, and can invite you to send us and to share other data places where we can make a list of data center, and we will find the best or the most appropriate data center to propose to the IESO, if the concept is nice enough for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could it be possible to think that maybe there can be one more classical exercise based on systemic approach, like a written test, and then data mining exercise, and something based on outcrops we can work on online? It can be 3 different approach, 3 different kind of exercise, so different skills for students, and we can maybe have more subject from the syllabus which can on which students could work on. I don't know. It can be more diverse.
Yeah, it can be.
I don't know. It's just
a solution depending of the outcrop. The virtual visit is something like data mining. For me, it's not different. It's just data.
Yeah, it's
data with. The written test is more question, but well, the discussion is completely open. If Roberto agree with what I'm saying now, but it's the presentation is to give you some information of the work of the examination board, and after to get back your comment, your opinion to prepare as best as possible the next online Olympiad. Roberto?
Yeah. Well, just to try to have an overview about all the situation. So we are in a situation that we have to plan what to do, and to develop a platform that is feasible with the purpose of the kind of test and evaluation assessment that we would like to do in IESO. And we are used in a situation on the presential one that we have written practical test, and then we have a Earth System project that is the poster that students do with international group, and we are used to the international team field investigation, that is a field activity that students go to do all together in the field. So we are trying to see how to have a format that is not so far from the previous one, but is feasible online. So tomorrow we talk about SP, the day after about how to manage the international or national team field investigation. And today the idea it was to focus on the test. One of the educational purpose of this kind of activity is also to get used, the student to get used to look for real data, for science data. This is one of the educational purpose behind this idea. And so appeared this idea of activity related to data mining. And we can put all together the idea that comes in this meeting, and you are invited to send other idea in the next days, because we need to think about what is possible to do and what we can do in taking into consideration all the difficult that you said already during this meeting. Different times, students that are not together in the same place, and difficult of connection. Connection maybe could work, maybe not. Maybe the energy could stop. In some countries, this is not doesn't happen so often. In other countries, this is happen with frequency. Just a storm could interrupt the electricity, the internet for a few hours or few days. So it is a complex situation. And we would like to continue to work in the systemic approach. That is the purpose and the main idea of the IESO. So this is something that we would like to maintain. So all the idea in order to maintain this approach that are feasible in an online competition are really welcome. And well, if you have some idea of testing, and with a virtual field trip, if you would like to send like an example, that will be more easy for the examination board to understand how is this proposal and how could fit in the online format. And well, basically is I think it's this the situation at the moment. And we know that some country will select students really few months or few weeks before the competition. So some country have not a lot of time to train the student. So this is also something that we have to take into consideration. And we need to think about what we allow the student to do. Because we can say, okay, you have 2 hours, this is the task, do whatever you want. You can Google, you can use Google Translator, you can look in the other website, or we can say, no, you are just to use the website. And in that case, we need some system to control the student. And so all the logistics to do that for some hundred of students. Yeah, I think in a few minutes, maybe we can even stop here, because I think some people are ready to leave. But if you have some question, and well, about the dates, and the idea is always to maintain around August or September, but maybe in August. Altenbeck is here. I don't know if they are ready with the Russian team, with the Russian organization, already have an idea of the dates. Otherwise, we can communicate it in the next few days. Altenbeck, you already decide the dates of the competition?
Roberto, do you have any idea? Anyway, so, okay.
So Altenbeck suggests that we should direct official letters to universities, because universities have more opportunities, better supplies, better computer classes, and we think it's better to work with universities instead of schools. What do you think?
Understand?
Well, basically, we need the online platform because the people do not travel to Russia. All the people working.
No.
We are talking about universities in your countries, in countries participants. Yeah, in cities participants of the Olympic.
Some of my students don't live anywhere near a university.
Yeah, students. Some students live in rural area. We can live wherever in the world.
Most people in the world will not have been vaccinated against COVID this year.
I see.
So we really should not encourage any travel.
Лучше не поощрять путешествия людей.
Они не поняли. То есть они находятся в своих городах. Мы пишем в эти города, находим университеты. И в эти университеты пишем письма, чтобы выделили кабинеты.
Okay, so anyway, we have to gather students somewhere. They don't have to travel across the world or even across their countries, their home countries.
No.
We are talking about the certain cities.
No, because in Australia, I have a student who might be in the Northern Territory, another student who might be in Queensland, 2 students in Western Australia. Impossible to gather them. Absolutely impossible.
You have universities in different parts of Australia. They don't have.
Yeah, but not where they live, right? You're talking. I'm talking about having to move a student 2,000 kilometers to be next to a university. You gotta be joking.
Don't they have university like nearby?
No.
That's in a deep rural area.
Do you know how big I mean, you're in Russia. You know how big a big country is, right? Well, think of a country the size of Russia, but with only 23 million people. You've only got 23 million people. You don't have a lot of centers. This is silly.
But by the way, why you are interested in the university if there are university near? Because I think the important is that each student have a good internet connection, and if it is in his home, her home has it. In most of the case, will be the case.
Километров, никаких вузов нету, студенты живут где-то там на сельской местности.
Я услышал.
Okay, we got it.
And we ask about if you already plan the schedule, the date. You mean we will start the 20th of August, the 1st of September. You have already an idea when we can start?
Да, когда мы начинаем.
Что?
Marina, you
hello. Can I ask, our students can work from home, do test from home? Алтенбек, слышишь ли ты меня? Все школьники могут работать из дома, поэтому вопрос только в датах. The question is a date.
Ладно.
When we will organize this Olympiad from your university, as I understood.
Ребят, для того, чтобы их начать обучать.
А когда надо?
Август-сентябрь.
А когда надо, задайте вопрос.
Роберто, August or September? Yes? August, сентябрь.
Okay, that's fine. But we have 2 meetings tomorrow and the other day. Then we have a 4th meeting in 10 days, a couple of weeks. For the 4th meeting, it's important that we fix the dates. So we clearly know when the competition will start. And we can have a meeting Altenberg directly with you and the examination board to see the details about that. But it is important to fix because every country need to know when the competition starts, because they have to fix the agenda and to say to the student, be prepared, because in these days you will be busy with the Olympiad.
We also need to know the duration of the event for the ESP, because the students aren't all going to be together. You know, they're spread out over a lot of different time zones. So we might want to allow maybe 1 or 2 extra days to allow the students to work well together. That should also allow for a higher quality ESP project.
This will be the theme of the object of the meeting of tomorrow, the ESP and how it works. It will be important, this meeting, because a lot of history appear by your comment, and this will help in order to see how many time you leave for every task and how to manage all the difficult in advance, because then we have to build the platform and things how run it properly. So please, any comment, suggestion, feel free to add now or later on by email, in the group mail. Any other comment? Yeah.
Roberto, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. The main point over here is that all students representing their nation cannot come together, and so the training before the main event would definitely take a time, because the students will be in their respective homes or in the city or town, and we have to ensure that they have a computer, good internet connection, and a platform to write those exams. And also they need to be trained for this new type of question by data mining system, etc. And so my humble request would be to have the examination end August, early September. You can think about a date, because it's already January, so January is already over. We are crossing mid-January. So even if we announce our entrance test for the selection of national team, it will all happen only during May, not before that. It's very difficult because many of our places are going national election. There's political issue. There's pandemic. The parents won't allow the children. So it's a little tough situation. So kindly think on these lines, and then we will go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not only for India, but for other countries also, I'm sure.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Нет, вы скажите сейчас. Если вопрос нам, то мы планируем вопросы по обновлению. Вы скажите.
Так я не могу просто сказать.
Any other comments, Altenbeck?
Can I ask, do we know what equipment we need, Altenbeck need in their university to organize tests? What equipment?
Ага, сейчас, подождите, коллеги, я очень плохо знаю английский, поэтому у меня есть переводчик. Скажи, переведите, чтобы все понимали.
So I'm gonna translate for Altenbeck. He's gonna I'm gonna translate.
Yes. Первое, по поводу необходимого оборудования для проведения там онлайн каких-то мероприятий у нас имеется.
So we have all necessary equipment for holding up an online event.
Yes. Открытие, закрытие онлайн мы проведем.
Yeah, so we can open and close the event, like no problem.
Да. Планируемое время, когда провести Олимпиаду, да, мы хотим оставить август.
So we suggest the best time for the event for us is August.
Август. Все, что необходимое, да, как университет обеспечит, да, но пока нет понимания, что конкретно нужно для того, чтобы организовать эти онлайн-этапы.
So we just want to know what equipment, what do we need to have to organize the event? So what do we need?
Да, на данный момент мы разрабатываем, ну, в прошлом году начали разрабатывать сайт, сейчас мы доработаем и покажем вам.
So right now we are in development of a website, and we are ready to present it.
Да. Делаем. По остальным вопросам, как бы, есть, как бы, мы пока не понимаем, что еще от нас требуется.
So we just we want to know what can we do, like as one of the organizers.
Да, если есть вопросы, связанные с организационными моментами мероприятия, это можем рассказать.
So, okay, that's it. Я думаю, они так поняли.
Ну, все.
So that's our questions. What can we do? What do we need to do?
Okay, so thanks for the website. As soon it will be available to be online, please inform us so we will spread it. And if you would like to present it at any time, please feel free to do that. And what we need is to fix a date. August is fine. If it is the last 10 days of August, it will be even better for the comment that appeared today. So if we can start around the 18th, the 20th of August, even because in any case, we will end in August. Yeah. And what we need is, well, the website is great to make the advisement of the Olympiad, but we also need a platform, something more sophisticated that could manage the inscription of the student, of the teams, with a place where students make sorry. We need a platform where students could entry by an ID and a password, and then find inside this platform the question and the task that they have to do. And for written, for data mining, for the NTFI, they will also need a place where they could work together collaboratively. So more students, like 4, 5, 7, could work online all together, talking together, and organize document, writing document, this kind of tools. And we need some time, like webinars, like conference, virtual conference, where around 300 people meet all together, and there is some speech, there is some presentation, some ceremony. So there are moments where there are all the student, all the mentor for ceremony, for speech, for seminars. And then there are some other moments that are the test, and other moments that are the collaborative activity among students. So it should be quite, it's a bit complex platform that, and it should be not open to everybody, just the people that are registered. So we can see in more details in a couple of weeks when we catch all the comment, all the suggestion. We prepare the final format of the Olympiad online, then we can bring you all the data, and we can make a meeting also with your informatic technology expert in order to make all the arrangement. It could work for you, make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, Greg, for this suggestion. And if there are other suggestions about also technology, will be also welcome. Greg just suggests in the chat that the platform should run in different kind of browser. So we have to think something that will be simple and could work in all different contexts that there are all over the world. So, and it's important that we make some check before the IESO in order to avoid situation that for some reason something is not working in some country. That could happen. Any other suggestion, comments? Silke, I don't know this platform, but we can pass this suggestion to Altenbeck and about this platform. It's a platform for me. The Russian team is free to choose what they think could work better.
Well, honestly, we don't know about this platform. It's learning, but we will suggest.
It was just a suggestion, nothing more. It's just this platform. It's this type we are using at Germany, and it seems to be an international. It seems to be well known internationally. It was just a suggestion, nothing more. I don't know. Maybe at your university you are using a platform anyway, and you prefer to use the platform. You know best.
Check it out. Well, thank you for a suggestion.
Any other questions, suggestions, comments? So I repeat, if you have any suggestion, comment, you can write by email at any time, and we will be here even tomorrow and the day after for the next 2 webinars. So this is another opportunity to share. Yeah, of course, the platform need to have all the instruction. The communication should be in English, and the main one. But I guess will be really easy command, and then if we need to translate something that is more in detail, then the mentor could do that for each one for his country. Yeah, I'm agree, Pailing. But it's important to everybody be familiar. Yeah, it is really important. And it's tricky because we have to make them familiar without training directly to solve the test that we'll find in the IESO. But it's something that, well, nowadays many data are available, and so look for us important that the students are trained to use this online data. And well, but there are several issues that we have to take into consideration to do tests properly. Is all new, so it's challenging.